When we read the last 5 chapters of Judges, we're reminded of just how wicked this world can be. And these are the people of God. These are the people that He delivered from slavery in Egypt. They're the ones that He brought into the promised land. These are the people that He set His heart on, who He chose for Himself to be their people, and He would be their God. But they had strayed so far from Him. They were like sheep without a shepherd. Every chapter in Judges 17 to 21, except for chapter 20, makes it a point to tell us that during these days, there was no king in Israel. In other words, they had no godly leadership. In chapter 17, verse 6, sums it all up. It says, "In those days, there was no king in Israel, and so everyone just did whatever seemed right in his own eyes." More than 3,000 years later, not a whole lot has changed. Independence and autonomy are so highly valued in our world. Everybody wants to go their own way. Everybody wants to do their own thing. Everyone wants to be in charge of their own life, to chart their own destiny, to decide what's best for them. But look around. Look what it gets us. It leads to nothing but chaos. And chaos was exactly what it led to at the time of Judges. Chapter 17, you have a man named Micah. He steals more than 1,000 silver pieces from his own mother. He overhears her praying, uttering a curse against whoever the thief was. And not because he was sorry, but because he didn't want to be cursed, he goes to his mother and tells him, "I was the thief." And then strangely she says, "Oh, my son, may the Lord bless you." And so she dedicates the silver to the Lord by making it into an idol. And then Micah makes his son the priest. A little while later, there's a Levite who's traveling, and he stops by and lodges at their home. And Micah hires him to stay and become the family priest. And somehow he thinks that now the Lord is going to bless them because of that. In chapter 18, some other Israelites hear that this priest is at the home of Micah. And so they come with a small army, and they steal all of the idols, and they steal the priest. And they threaten Micah, saying they'll kill him if he does anything to resist them. In chapter 19, we have a story of another priest. And he has a concubine who has left him and is sleeping around with other men. But he goes and tracks her down and convinces her to return home with him. While they're on the way, they stop and they lodge in the home of a man from the tribe of Benjamin. But at night, the men from the city come and start pounding on the door and demanding that this man let them sleep with the priest that was staying with him. Rightfully, he says, "No, don't do this wicked thing. He's a guest in my house." But then, and this is almost unbelievable, he says, "Instead, take my virgin daughter and this man's concubine. You can do whatever you want to them." And so they take the man's concubine and they rape her the entire night. And in the morning, the priest finds her at the doorway, laying there dead. And he gets really angry, so angry that he cuts the body into 12 pieces and sends the pieces throughout the land of Israel to tell them what these men had done to him. Now, it's kind of strange because everyone at this point in time is living in complete wickedness. But for some reason, they decide that they need to do something about this sin. So in chapter 20, all of the tribes of Israel gather for war against the tribe of Benjamin. And they killed everyone except for 600 Benjamite men. And all of the tribes of Israel made a vow that we will not give our daughters to these men in marriage. But then they began to weep and to mourn for the tribe that had been lost, for their brothers. And even though they were the ones who slaughtered them, they asked the Lord how He could allow something like this to happen. So they decide they're going to help these Benjamite men find wives so that the tribe can continue. So they go to another city and they kill everybody in the city except for 400 virgin young ladies. But there were still 200 men who didn't have wives, and so they had another idea. They said, "In Shiloh there's a festival to the Lord, and so when the young ladies come out to dance, jump out from behind the trees and grab one of them and take her home to be your wife." Israel was about as far gone in sin as you could possibly be. And the writer of Judges doesn't know what else to say, so he just ends the book by summarizing this mindset that led to all of this sin and all of this chaos. He says, in those days, there was no godly leadership in Israel, so everybody just did what was right in his own eyes.